You know how some days start off perfectly normal and then somehow you end up being the talk of the entire office without even trying? Well, that pretty much happened to me, and honestly, it all kicked off with something I definitely shouldn't have heard. Like totally accidental eavesdropping kind of thing. So, there I was, grabbing my coffee from the break room, half awake and still thinking about whether I remembered to reply to that one email. I wasn't even paying attention to the people talking nearby, but then this one snippet caught my ear. It was just two coworkers whispering, but you know how whispers can sound way more secretive and juicy than they actually are. They were talking about some big, weird office drama, something about a new hire named Jake and a major shakeup happening soon or whatever. I didn't catch all the details, just enough to know it wasn't something I was supposed to hear. But here's the thing, once I heard it, I couldn't just pretend I didn't. Not because I wanted to gossip, but because you know that weird feeling when your brain sticks to something like gum on your shoe? Anyway, fast forward less than 2 hours, and I start noticing coworkers dropping by my cubicle with this look half curiosity, half like I just held the winning lottery ticket. Emma, my cubicle neighbor, who, by the way, talks more than a podcast host on a caffeine high, was the first. She whispered, "So, heard anything about Jake? Some big office secret must be brewing, huh?" Before I knew it, I was basically the office's new secret keeper. Like, I didn't say a word, but my accidental overhearing somehow turned me into this mysterious vault nobody could crack. People started coming up to me with all kinds of questions, hoping I'd spill the beans. It was super awkward because I wasn't lying exactly, I just wasn't telling anyone much either. And here's where it gets even weirder. Instead of squashing the rumors, sharing the little I knew only made the buzz grow louder. Apparently, in our office, keeping a secret or even pretending to know one is like having your own personal spotlight. Suddenly, everyone wanted to be my friend or, well, at least my informal informant. It was like this snowball rolling downhill, turning small whispers into gossip avalanches. All over something I simply overheard while trying not to spill my coffee. From zero to accidental office gossip guru, really not where I thought my Monday was headed. But hey, at that point, what could I do? Pretending I didn't know anything made me seem suspicious. Sharing tidbits made me the center of unsolicited attention. And if you've ever wondered how a tiny slip-up becomes your whole day's storyline, well, trust me, it's a wild ride. So yeah, this is how I accidentally became the office gossip. And wait until you hear what happened next. My typical workday was about as exciting as watching paint dry on a conference room wall. Wake up, wrestle with the snooze button, make the obligatory half-hearted attempt at breakfast, then hop on the subway just in time to join the hum of cubicles clicking away in our mid-sized corporate nest downtown. Nothing too flashy emails, meetings, that strange tension over who stole the last bagel during morning snack time. You know the drill. Emma, my cubicle neighbor, was the real energy booster around here. She had this infectious habit of turning every little thing into a 3-act drama. If a chair squeaked, she had a theory. If the printer jammed, well, that was practically a conspiracy. She was chatty, to say the least, but in the best way, the kind that made those slow hours pass quicker. We exchanged the usual banter, like trading barbs over whose coffee was stronger or who survived a meeting without nodding off. Most of the time, I was happy dodging a spotlight, but then Jake arrived. Jake was different. The new guy skipped the usual grand entrance parade. No ruffled feathers or awkwardly shoved introductions. Just showed up one Monday, dropped his box of stuff on some empty desk, and slid into his role like he'd been there forever. No smile, barely exchanged a "hey," and strictly kept to himself. That, of course, was like waving a big red flag in a herd of curious cubicles. The office immediately buzzed with all sorts of theories. Was he a spy, a corporate ninja, or maybe just really shy? People whispered over keyboards and coffee pots, trying to piece together his story. I could almost see the wheels turning behind their eyes, desperate to unravel the enigma that was Jake. Emma, less subtle than a foghorn, was relentless. Every morning, she'd sidle up to me with a grin and some new discovery. "Did you see Jake's lunch yesterday? Guy brought tuna sandwiches wrapped in what looked like foil from the 90s. Do you think he's hiding something?" I'd chuckle and brush it off, but she wasn't done. "Or maybe he's not really from marketing. What if he's undercover? Honestly, I won't be surprised if he's got a secret life as a rock star or something." I definitely saw the sparkle of mischief in her eyes, and somewhere in the back of my mind, that old overheard conversation about some major shakeup started to ping louder. It was like one of those brain glitches where you hear a word once and suddenly everything reminds you of it. One afternoon, Emma snagged me just as I was about to log off for the day. "So, what do you think? This shakeup, could Jake be connected?" She lowered her voice to a serious whisper, glancing around like we were in a spy movie. "You know anything?" I hesitated, trying to decide if I should even wade into this mess. I didn't have any real info beyond that accidental snippet. But Emma's excitement was contagious, and before I knew it, I started sharing a few vague impressions I picked up here and there. Nothing concrete, just enough ambiguity to fuel the fire. What I didn't expect was how quickly this sparked a wildfire. The moment a little nugget slipped out, it spread like digital wildfire cubicle to cubicle, whispered over chilly vending machine water cooler chats. Suddenly, my little casual comments morphed into insider knowledge. Coworkers started dropping by with hushed requests, and colleagues I hardly spoke to gave me these expectant looks like I was some oracle dispensing corporate secrets. Jake, meanwhile, kept doing his thing, quiet, focused, eyes glued to the screen. But even that silence added to the mystery. The more people speculated, the more awkward his silence seemed. I caught him once glancing my way when a group clustered by my desk asking if I had anything new on the big shakeup. He quickly looked away, but it was a look that said, please don't drag me into this, thanks. Karen, our manager, usually the office's voice of reason, wasn't exactly thrilled about the growing whispers. The rumors might have stayed lighthearted, but when conversations started drifting close to confidential company moves, and I was apparently the source, it got her attention. I overheard a snippet from her office door one morning. Leaks like these can happen. Confidentiality is key, and I want to know who's stirring this mess. That set something in motion. Emma was practically bouncing with excitement, egging me on, asking for more, while I found myself caught between wanting to stay invisible and not wanting to be the office blabbermouth. The line got blurrier every day. It was strange, honestly, how a casual chat with Emma, a quiet newcomer named Jake, and a mysterious hint overheard during a groggy coffee run could twist into this sudden whirlwind of expectation. I wasn't trying to start a rumor mill, I just got sucked right in. Somehow, I was now the guy everyone looked to for answers, or at least for whatever scraps of truth I could cough up. As the days moved on, I knew it was only a matter of time before this bubble popped, or worse, exploded. But for now? Well, I was stuck riding the wave, slowly realizing the office jungle had shifted. And, it wasn't just the glow of my computer screen lighting up my space anymore, it was the glow from a swarm of curious eyes whenever I appeared at my desk. So, things didn't just simmer quietly, they boiled over. I didn't quite realize how deep I'd waded into the rumor pool until Emma dropped by one morning, practically buzzing with the latest update. "You will not believe what I just heard. Karen said something about leaks, like really serious stuff," she whispered, staring at me like I held the key to the office's entire secret vault. "And you're kinda in the spotlight, you know, being the source and all?" I blinked, half confused, half panicked. "Wait, what? Me? I'm just the guy who accidentally overheard something once." Emma rolled her eyes. "Accidental or not, you're the only one who's vaguely connected to Jake and the so-called shakeup. Everyone's piecing it together like you're some insider." Ugh, great, just what I needed, to be cast as the unofficial office whisperer. But what made it worse was Jake's awkward silence whenever whispers circled near him. Instead of shutting down the speculation, his low profile kind of fanned the flames. I caught him once in the break room looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. I tried to casually mention something nonchalant, like the weather or the latest terrible creamer flavor in the break room. He gave a half nod but quickly averted his eyes, as if that alone could make him invisible. Meanwhile, Emma was relentless. Every day it felt like she'd carve out a new theory or push a new lead on me. Okay, so what if Jake's silence means he's hiding something bigger, like maybe he's tied to that shakeup? Or a mysterious past life? I laughed at that one, but inside I was already bracing for whatever next round of questions was coming. Things took a turn when Karen finally called me into her office. "Look, we need to talk about these so-called leaks," she said, folding her arms. The expression on her face was all business and zero fun. "There's been a lot of chatter lately, and it's coming back to you. Are you sharing confidential info or just stirring the pot?" I cleared my throat, trying to sound calm when really I felt like a deer caught in headlights. "Honestly, Karen, I haven't been sharing anything intentionally. I overheard a snippet and then people just started asking. I wasn't trying to start anything." She raised an eyebrow. "But you did share some things with Emma, right?" "Yeah, but it was all vague. No real secrets. Just office small talk blown way out of proportion." Karen sighed, shaking her head slightly. "This kind of thing can mess with team morale, or worse, the company's reputation. I need you to help me keep things under control." So there I was, stuck between the office rumor mill and my manager's stern warnings, feeling like I'd accidentally volunteered to be the captain of a ship I had no idea how to steer. The tension in the air was getting thick. My casual office chats now felt like ticking time bombs. Emma's whispered questions became more urgent, and Jake's silent reactions grew more uncomfortable. Meanwhile, my inbox filled up with odd little messages, some curious, some definitely suspicious. I started wondering if I should nip it in the bud and just clear the air once and for all, but there was something weirdly tempting about this new role. For once, I was at the center of office conversations, not fading away into the background like usual. Maybe, just maybe, I could play along, keep a few secrets, or fake a few more. Yeah, that was a slippery slope, but I wasn't quite ready to step away yet. So yeah, that's how I found myself caught in this awkward tug of war. On one side, Karen's pointed reminders about professional boundaries. On the other, Emma's relentless craving for the next juicy tidbit. And somewhere in the middle, Jake just trying to keep his head down while everyone spun stories about him. And honestly, I was standing there wondering if a simple coffee run and an overheard whisper had really set off something I couldn't take back. Still, I guess that's when I realized office gossip isn't just chatter, it's a whole tangled game, and I was smack dab in the middle of it. So, after Karen's "please don't burn the office down with rumors" talk, I knew things had to change. But I also kinda had to find the root of the problem. Who was really starting these rumors? Why was everyone so eager to believe the drama about Jake and this big shakeup that somehow no one could clearly explain? One afternoon, I decided to just ask. I approached Emma first because, well, she was the unofficial rumor engine, right? I said, "Hey Emma, how did all this start? Like, who was the first to mention the shakeup stuff?" She gave that sheepish grin, like she wasn't entirely proud but also didn't really want to snitch. Honestly, I think it was just those two guys near the break room, the ones you overheard at the start. They started whispering about some vague changes, and then everyone ran with it. That lined up with the very first whispers I caught, but what surprised me was how quick the gossip had morphed from big company shakeup to Jake is hiding a scandal. Emma admitted, "People hate silence." When Jake didn't say anything, stories filled in the blanks. Next, I ran into Jake, who was, predictably, still avoiding eye contact like it was a prize he didn't want. "Look, Jake," I said carefully, "I feel bad all this mess landed on you. What's the real deal? Is there something you can share so the rumors die down?" He hesitated, then sighed. "Honestly, it's nothing scandalous. The shakeup is just normal restructuring talk. HR stuff nobody gets full details on until it happens. And I'm not some secret agent or rock star in disguise, just a guy trying to do his job without becoming office headline news." He looked relieved to finally say it out loud, and I totally got it. The silent treatment was making things worse for him. With that, I decided to loop Karen in. I told her what Jake shared and even mentioned Emma's role in spreading creative theories. Karen actually nodded, looking a bit more understanding than before. "We'll need to hold a quick team meeting," she said. "Set the record straight and remind everyone about confidentiality without pointing fingers. No need for this to divide the team. Thanks for stepping up and helping clear the air." The day of the meeting was interesting, to say the least. It was the usual mix of awkward glances, half smiles, and a few dramatic eye rolls. Karen spoke clearly, no beating around the bush. She explained the reality of restructuring, reminded everyone about keeping workplace gossip respectful, and, most importantly, thanked us all for focusing on work instead of wild rumors. Emma, ever the enthusiast, whispered to me afterwards, "Well, that was anticlimactic, but I guess it's better than IT guys turning into secret agents." Jake gave me a grateful nod, which I returned with a smile that said, "See? We made it through without the world ending." After all the dust settled, the office vibe shifted in subtle ways. Some folks kept their distance, the ones who'd been the most voracious rumor mongers. Others, like Emma and I, got a little closer. We bonded over the shared chaos and the realization that sometimes being in the middle of drama is just a phase, not a lifestyle. Looking back, I kind of admire how wildfire-fast gossip can spread and how easily it fills the gaps when people don't communicate openly. Maybe it's a reminder that sometimes silence isn't golden in an office. It's the invitation for stories to explode in all directions. Now, when I catch a whisper near the coffee machine, I smile and remind myself that a little empathy and a straight talk might just save us from turning the next guy into an accidental legend. But hey, what do you think? Ever been caught in one of those rumor storms where you weren't even the one who started it? Would you play along or just put an end to it? I'm curious how you'd handle the accidental gossip crown.